Trip inspection for my end cap. First thing I want to do is I want to check my seat belt, and we'll make sure it's properly mounted and secured. It's not cut, cracked, or frayed. It does latch, unlatch properly. We'll latch it back now. Maybe. All right, over here to my left, I do have my fire extinguisher. It is fully charged, BC rated, 5 pounds normal freight, 10 pounds for hazmat. Back here in the back, I have my 3 reflective triangles. They are clean and in good working order. Our trucks do run on electrical fuses. Here is my fuse box, and in here is going to be my spare fuses. Now what I'm going to do is a safe start. In order to do my safe start, what I'm going to do is push it on my clutch, make sure my gear shifter's in neutral with my selector switched down, and I'm going to start up my truck. The first thing I'm going to check is make sure my ABS light came on, and then it did go off. Over here, I'm going to check my oil pressure, make sure it's rising to the proper level. Next, I'm going to look at my temperature gauge. It is rising, it's not overheating. In the middle, I want to check my voltmeter. In order to do that, I'm going to hit this button here until it pops up. So my voltmeter has came up, and it should read between 12 and 14 volts. And then all the way over here to my right is my air pressure gauges. They are rising, and they should cut out between 120 and 140 psi. Next, what I want to do is I want to check my lights. So I'm going to check my headlights. Those are my low beams, my high beams. They are properly working. Check my left turn signal, my right turn signal, and my 4-way flashers. Those are all working properly. Next, I want to check my city horn and my air horn. Okay, they are working. Next, I'm going to look at my mirror. I'm going to make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, loose. It is clean. It's adjusted to me, the driver. I'm going to look here at my windshield, make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, loose. It is clean, and there's nothing obstructing my view. My windshield seal, it's properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, damaged, loose. It's not cut, cracked, or frayed, and it does seal the entire window. Then I'm going to look at my windshield wipers, make sure they're properly mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. The blades themselves are not cut, cracked, or frayed. I'm then going to pull this and make sure that I do have windshield wiper fluid and that it is cleaning my windshield evenly, which it is. Okay. Next, what I want to check is my heat and defrost. First thing I want to check is the defrost. So I'm going to turn it to the defrost position. Check and make sure it's blowing out from up here, which it is. And next, I want to check my heat. I'm going to check my vents right here, and then at the floor. Make sure that they are working properly. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to start checking my brakes. I want to check my parking, emergency, and service brakes. First thing I want to check is my parking brake, make sure it's going to hold my tractor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that knob set. I'm going to push in my clutch, put it in first gear with my selector switch down. And I'm going to release my trailer brakes. What I want to do is slowly release up off my clutch, and I'm just going to make sure that I feel a slight tug. Once I feel that slight tug, I'm going to push that brake back, or that clutch back in. Okay, feel the slight tug, so it does show that my parking brakes are working properly. Now I'm going to pull this one back out, and now I want to check my emergency brakes and make sure that they are going to hold. So I'm going to leave this knob pulled out, and I'm going to release my parking brakes. Push that in. I'm still in first gear with my selector switch down. Same thing, I'm just going to look for a slight tug. Okay, there's a slight tug, so it does tell me that my emergency brakes are working. Now that I've checked my parking and emergency brakes and they are working, I want to check my service brake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release my parking and emergency brakes, push in on my clutch, make sure I am in third gear with my selector switch down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up about 5 miles an hour, and I should not pull to the left or to the right. Okay, I did not pull to the left or to the right. My service brakes are stopping my vehicle. So what I want to do now is I want to put my gear shifter back into first gear. I'm going to turn my truck off. I'm going to let up off my clutch and brake. Now I'm going to turn my key back into the auxiliary position where all of my gauges are working. Okay, my gauges are now stabilized. First thing I want to do is I want to hold my service brake down for 1 minute. In that 1 minute, I should not lose no more than 4 psi. You'll then ask your examiner to time you. Okay. He'll say time. You'll let up off that brake and explain to him, I did not lose no more than 4 psi in that minute.
Okay.
Now what I want to do is I want to fan my brakes. What I'm looking for is my low air pressure warning lights to come on. And they should come on around 60 psi. You're going to pump your brakes until those 2 lights come on right here. Once they come on, you'll stop. Okay. My low air pressure warning lights did come on around 60 psi. Now what I want to do is continue to fan my brakes, and what I'm looking for is my parking and emergency knobs to pop out, and they should pop out between 20 and 40 psi. Okay, my parking and emergency brake knobs did pop out between 20 and 40 psi, and that concludes my pre-trip.
Okay. You got to blow the horn afterwards?
Nope.
Okay.